In today's video, we're going to look at the carnivore diet, eating an all-meat diet in order to improve your health. Seems pretty counterintuitive to everything that you've ever heard about eating healthy, but we're going to lay out the facts and help you understand how you could use this diet to improve your health today. So let's dive in. But before we do, I'm Dr. Nick Zarowski, and welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also for all my natural health videos, go to www.drzee.tv. You can also become a paid member there. As a member, not only do you support us in making content like this, but you also get exclusive deals, access to content such as our most recent piece, which was how to look at your blood work and make changes using supplementation when certain metrics go certain ways. So for instance, if you have high cholesterol, high blood sugar, autoimmune issues, thyroid issues, what you can start doing today in order to start moving you in the proper direction. So that's what we discussed in the last video. So go over there and become a member. Like I said, most importantly, it gives us the ability to do videos like this for you. So we appreciate all the support that you give. Let's go ahead and dive in. So the carnivore diet has been taking the internet by storm, and really I would say it's because of like one guy. And it's because this guy named Liver King, who basically claims that like he eats liver, he eats raw meat, and he has incredible health because of it. Let's go ahead and take a look over here at one of his profiles, and like, so you can see a picture of him here, and part of his big marketing, I don't want to say scheme or ploy, I don't want to use words like that because I don't want to make it sound like he's out there ripping somebody off, but like his whole persona in everything he does is quite a theatrical experience. I mean, he refers to himself in the third person as Liver King all the time. It's kind of hilarious. And then he looks jacked, right? A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like you eat a carnivore diet and you look like that. The reality is he eats a carnivore diet and he looks like that probably, because I don't know this to be factual, but I'm gonna say most likely because he is taking some sort of steroids. I mean, it's very, very unlikely that he looks like that without taking steroids because he's a big dude and he's a strong dude. Here's another video of him right here. Let's see what this is about. Kind of give you an idea of maybe what he eats.
Primals, Liver King is here with Liver Queen, and this is how we do an ancestral date. You can see there's plenty of bone marrow around the table. We got liver, we got head cheek made with colostrum and bones. We got spleen, we got heart, we got porcelain, we got kidney, we got testicle, we got a nut butter and brain dipping sauce. We got some bloody maple syrup, and this is how we do our date. Cheers. Liver King.
Liver Queen.
Out. Primals.
So like I said, his whole persona is like this kind of like barbaric human, right? But I couldn't help but like laughing because his wife looks disgusted the whole video. And so that was kind of funny, like her just looking at like, oh my gosh, like we would actually eat this stuff. And then if we look at some of these comments here, what are people saying about it? Liver Queen didn't seem that enthused with the raw marrow. Liver Queen, blink twice if you need help. Her body language says this tastes like absolute poop emoji, mate, and then a laughing emoji, crying laughing emoji. And so the reality is I can tell you that I have eaten some of these things and it's not good, okay? I mean, it's gross. Like literally when you consume like raw liver and some of these different meats like this, it is not a tasty experience. So I think that if you consumed it, like you kind of forced yourself to eat it over a period of time, like yeah, it would start to taste better to you, and it'd be something maybe you even learn to enjoy over time. But there's nobody who grabs these raw meats and eats them for the first time like, oh, that's good, because I've been there, done that, and like honestly, it almost made me puke. And it's not that I was like grossed out by the fact that it was raw. It's just the flavor of like raw liver is strong and it's very unique. And so I mean, he's talking about eating testicles and everything else, so it's quite a lot. But anyway, he claims that he's following the carnivore diet. So a lot of people are super interested in this carnivore diet. And so this article over here at New Vision Health Center, I will put a link to this article in the description below, because I think that after you hear this, you're probably going to want to share this article with friends and family and people you love, because I think that this diet has a very important therapeutic benefit and it can help a lot of people. So you've probably been told you should eat your fruits and vegetables as a child. The article starts off, but it turns out that veggies aren't all it's supposed. They're cracked up to be. The evidence is mounted regarding carnivore diet and how it can improve and sometimes may reverse autoimmune issues. Many people see diminished symptoms as they eat this way. Over time, patients may get told by their doctors that once they get diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, they will not ever recover. Well, that may be true for the diagnosis. It does not mean they will always suffer from the illness. Let's look at these conditions and how you can use a carnivore diet. What is a carnivore diet? In simplest terms, a carnivore diet is a meat-based diet. You can eat animal products and exclude all other foods. That means you leave off veggies, fruits, legumes, grains. Some people add nuts and seeds back to their diet, but they mostly stick to animal products. So the carnivore diet, this is important to understand, is like a ketogenic diet or a low-carb diet because you cut out sugar and other processed food. It differs by bringing the number of carbs down to 0. Many people who follow this approach believe that a diet high in carbohydrate increases the possibility of a disease, okay? So then the article goes on to talk about, like, what about vegetables, right? Well, the problem with vegetables is that most vegetables now are covered with, pesticides and carcinogens. And the other thing about vegetables is that they actually have, like, basically chemical toxins within them that many people react poorly to. And so what we have to do is really, like, look at these situations and go, like, okay, maybe vegetables aren't always the best for us. So somebody who has an autoimmune condition like myself, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is something that often is overlooked. We're told, if you have an autoimmune issue, you need to eat healthy, eat fruits and veggies, that kind of thing. However, you may be reacting very poorly to some of these things, okay? So the carnivore diet and autoimmune diseases. I tell people all the time that I see who have autoimmune issues, go on the carnivore diet. And why is that? Well, simply because it's easy. To follow an all-meat diet, it's simple, right? If you start getting into pulling out foods one by one from your diet, it can become very complicated. So you may, if you have an autoimmune condition, go with like an elimination diet. And the reality is that that's hard. It really is, because you start pulling out all of the different foods that you're eating, and then you start adding them in one by one. To be honest, the carnivore diet's a very lazy elimination diet. So therefore, if you have an autoimmune condition and you're somebody who wants to put the least effort in as possible, all you have to do is eat meat, and it's pretty simple to do. So I tell people all the time who have autoimmune diseases, follow the carnivore diet, and they think I'm crazy, okay? So when is the carnivore diet appropriate? I don't think it's appropriate for everybody. So if you see guys like Liver King or some of these different very popular carnivore-based influencers on the internet, it's important to understand that this isn't for everybody. And there's no reason just to do it for the sake of doing it. I've done it for a period of time in my own life, and quite frankly, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. Do I think it has a lot of health benefits? Of course. You pull out sugar, you pull out carbs, you pull out processed foods, you pull out all the nasty stuff. There is a huge benefit to doing that. Around 50 million Americans suffer from at least one autoimmune disease. Some have more. So what makes people think that switching to a carnivore diet is going to fix their problem? For us to fully understand why someone would change their approach to eating, let's look at what an autoimmune disease is and how it affects your body. Now, this is really important because an autoimmune disease is very difficult to overcome. It's hard to get out of. And anybody who is suffering from this knows, right? You're on all kinds of prescription medication. It seems to never get any better. It just gets worse. And as you're taking some of these really harsh drugs, and that's one of the problems with these diseases, is that you're taking really harsh drugs in order to actually overcome them and feel better. Well, as you're doing that, it just continues to get worse and worse. And eventually the drugs don't work anymore, right? Humira is a huge one that many people are using. An autoimmune disease begins when your body's natural defense system cannot tell the difference between your cells and foreign cells that may invade. And it causes your body to attack itself and attack healthy cells. There's over 80 different immune diseases that can affect your body. Some are common in men, some are common in women. And the thing is that some of the symptoms can be all over the place. So a lot of the symptoms that you will see are things like fatigue, joint pain, skin issues, right? So skin issues is very common. Rashes popping up all over, and also digestive problems. Now, the reason digestive problems are so prevalent in an autoimmune condition is because most of your immune system is located in your gut. Typically, an autoimmune condition actually will start in the gut and then it'll turn autoimmune. autoimmune. So some people even have fever and swollen glands, and I've even seen it where people get just swollen random places of their body, like their fingers swell up and their face is all puffy, and it's a really hard road to have to travel. And so that's why it's like having something like this diet can be very useful. One of the hardest parts about having an autoimmune disease is that it can be hard to get a proper diagnosis. Some diseases don't have regular lab tests that can prove what patients have, and this means that you can go for years without even knowing. Many people have gotten misdiagnosed. They've been told they have anxiety and depression, and some doctors even will tell their patients if they get more sleep and exercise, it'll fix their problems. But unfortunately, they're basically left without answers. So some common autoimmune diseases are lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Graves' disease, psoriasis, fibromyalgia, and all these different thyroid disorders people have. So many people will kind of question, like, once again, is this a radical approach? And the reality is that it's not, because a radical approach is taking a very, very, very potent drug for many years that's killing your liver and your kidneys and your detox organs. That's a pretty radical approach. So this is actually isn't radical at all. Now, a lot of people will get stressed out about eating something like the carnivore diet simply because they say, well, you're not getting all your nutrients and everything, and so this is a big problem. And one of the big arguments you'll see come up is like, well, you're not getting enough vitamin C. Well, the reality is that pretty much anybody who has done the carnivore diet for a long period of time has found that they don't have a vitamin C deficiency. One of the other realities is that when you consume lots of sugar and carbs, it depletes you of vitamin C, and you're not doing that on the carnivore diet. So what can you eat? When someone decides to try the carnivore diet, the next thing that you want to know is, what the heck can you eat on this, what seems to be very restrictive diet? On a positive note regarding this way of eating is that you do not need to count calories. You eat until you're comfortably full. There's no measuring or weighing food. Typically, people who are doing the carnivore diet are intermittent fasting and just eating like one meal a day, because that's all that they feel that they need to eat. That's all they're hungry for. And so you'll find that a lot of people will lose a ton of weight on the carnivore diet. Like, look, if you just want to give it a try, you can try it for a week. See what happens. It's definitely going to drive your blood sugar down. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to help you lose weight. It's going to cause you to have a lot of really good outcomes. I fully believe that. Are you going to feel like crap the first week? Absolutely, because changing your diet that radically would be really, really tough to just go cold turkey. And the fact is if you're coming off sugar and all those other addictive substances, then you're going to find that it's very difficult. Now, when you're following the carnivore diet, you want to stick to like fatty meats. You want to eat like steaks, burgers, like fish, like salmon. Now, some carnivore eaters will allow dairy products. I would say that if you're doing this for an autoimmune purpose, like, I wouldn't involve dairy products, simply because dairy products are highly reactive to many people. And then also some people will eat eggs. Once again, some people are highly reactive to eggs, but I will say this, is when you start the carnivore diet, your body stops becoming less reactive to everything around you. Sometimes you'll find things that you would normally react negatively to, like dairy or eggs, you'll find that you don't react negatively anymore because your immune system's calmed down greatly. So organ meats contain tons of minerals and vitamins. Most people who are following the carnivore diet are eating a lot of organ meats simply because of the nutrient availability in them. So do you need to take vitamins? You know what? Pretty much people who followed it for a long time will argue, no, you do not. I think that with the carnivore diet, the verdict is still out on a lot of questions you may have, but I can tell you this, there's not a ton of science behind it, but they're starting to become more and more. And the other thing is that people who are following it are seeing incredible results. Like one of the famous psychologists, Jordan Peterson, he's followed it for years. It changed his life. His daughter, Michaela Peterson, who's also quite a popular public figure, had her life changed by it. There's many very popular figures out there, public figures, who have literally went from extreme arthritic, riddled bodies to where it's just destroying their joints, to following the carnivore diet in their arthritis is completely gone. Like, for instance, Michaela Peterson, she was in a position where at a very young age, when she was a teenager, she was already getting joint replacements because her arthritis was so bad, just eating her joints. She went to a carnivore diet and has lived a good, healthy life ever since, and her arthritis has went away. So anyway, this is something you have to consider. But is it the best diet for you? If you're someone who has an autoimmune condition, I would say all day long. If you're somebody who's looking to just lose weight and get healthy and you want to give it a whirl, give it a try. But is this the diet that everybody should follow? No, absolutely not. It's absolute silliness to look at it that way. A lot of people, it's funny, they see guys on the internet that are big influencers, they jump into this with both feet and they last like a day and they're like, ugh, you know, and it's because they think that they have to be eating the liver and testicles and all this nasty stuff. But the reality is you can be eating nice cuts of steak and burgers and good fatty meats and really enjoy it. So I think if you're somebody who's following or if you have an autoimmune condition, I think this is a great diet to follow. Once again, you can follow something like the elimination diet, but the problem is that it becomes very difficult to worry about eliminating those foods and trying to create meals around all these particular foods that you're eliminating and adding back in. Whereas if you do something like this, it literally just kind of wipes out everything, and it's like hitting an enormous reset button for your body, and it works really well. So highly encourage you to try it if you're somebody who's suffering with this. But if you want to share this article with somebody who you think could benefit from it, I'll put links in the description below to this article. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one over here next.